Last section of chapter 2 of unit A, we're going to do a nice simple application of Venn diagrams. Now there are great applications, but before you could ever talk about complicated things, you'd have to look at some simple things. And that's what we're going to do just in the context of what's called a survey problem. How to understand results of a survey if you ever had to break it down. So looking at the first page, I'm going to do the first example at the top. You're going to do it along with me. You're going to ask whatever questions that you have. And then on page 2, the first exercise on the top is an extremely similar example for you to do. Okay. Again, I mentioned this earlier before I started the recording. All that we're going to be looking at here is if you understand what the different places on the Venn diagram mean, which we talked about last time, then these problems should not offer anything really new and different. So example 1. Example 1 says this. So if you're watching the video, print out this, read along with me. It says, at Erie Community College, a survey was taken to determine where students studied on campus. So again, super simple problem. Just as you're working into real world situations that are sometimes very complicated. Of the 250 students surveyed, it was determined that 167 studied in the library, 138 studied in the cafeteria, 75 studied in both, and then we'll have some questions that we're going to answer. But in order to answer those questions, we need to draw a Venn diagram and label it and fill in where the different students did their studying. So on your paper, somewhere, if there's room on there, or if you need to flip it over on the back, or if you need to use a piece of notebook paper, whatever, draw your good friend the Venn diagram. Remember the rectangle, just as we're reviewing, because I know we got a test coming up next class. As we're reviewing, this rectangle represents the whole universe of objects that we are being studied. In this case, the objects are students. How many different situations do I have in this? Do I need 2 or 3 circles for my Venn diagram? 2. I've got library, cafeteria. Okay, that's all we studied in here was either using 2 sets or 3 sets. There's not going to be something new or different on the test, so don't be worried about that. So I'm going to draw 2 circles here. I'm going to have them overlapping. Yes, always draw it in a rectangle. A rectangle represents your universe. Great question. This next step is arbitrary. You can't do this next step wrong. You could do it different than me, but not wrong. So we're going to label each of those circles to represent the students. And so we have 2 things. We have the library, the cafeteria. I'm going to put the library on the left. I have no reason to do that other than I see that word first. Okay, so if you put the cafeteria on the left, that is fully valid and good. So that'll be fine. And then the cafeteria, I'll just put abbreviation right there. You with me so far? We doing okay? Now, the way you fill in the Venn diagram is this. It's about understanding what the different things mean. And I always recommend you start with the most specific information first. So on this, what would you hypothesize? You might be right or wrong on this, and that's okay either way. What would you hypothesize is the most specific piece of information we are given to work with? The both. Yeah. 75 studied in both. On my Venn diagram, what region? Now remember, we have 4. We have 2 sets. There's 4 regions. There's this region right here. There's this one in the middle. There's this one. And then there's the region represented by the whole rest of the universe. Which one of those represents my both? The middle. So I'm going to put 75 students right in here. 75 students studied in both. Questions, comments, concerns, anything so far? Now we're just going to work our way up the ladder. So the next one up says 138 studied in the cafeteria. Now, here is where you might make a mistake, and I'm hoping that I help you to not. Sometimes a student's first impulse is to say, oh, there's 138 students in the cafeteria. That means don't write this down, this is wrong. So that means I'm going to put 138 right here. So the reason this is wrong is because I understand you're reading in more detail than is there. When you put 138 there, well, before I mention that, does anyone remember what this part of the circle that looks like a cookie with the bite taken out? What does this part of the circle represent? Anybody remember? I'm sorry. What does this part of the circle right here, not counting this, what does this part of the circle represent? Anybody remember what that physically means? I'm sorry? Perfect. The cafe without library, meaning the cafe only. Okay. So people who studied in the cafeteria but had no business with the library. But that's not what that line says. Okay, the line says 138 studied in the cafeteria. It does not say does not say 138 studied only in the cafeteria. Okay, so don't read in this extra word. That is sometimes a misconception students make, and I don't want you to fall for it. What the problem does say is that altogether, 138 studied in the cafeteria. It makes no mention of anything else. So what that means is in this circle that I am tracing, in this circle, there are 138 students. Can anyone tell me how I might figure out how many studied only in the cafeteria then? Perfect. I'm going to take that 138 that we're in the cafeteria circle. I've already accounted for 75 of them. They're right there. So I'm going to subtract that 75. And when I do that, I think that's going to turn out to be 63, but you can always verify and recommend it because it's still early. These two things, the 75 plus the 63, should add up to 138. I'm going to go up to the next line. 167 studied in the library. So tell me, what is the process? You don't have, I mean, you can give me the number if you want, but what's the process to figure out what number I'm going to write here? Perfect, you're doing great. I love what I'm hearing. So I'm going to take the 167 minus the 75, because again, here's my library circle. 75 students are already in the library circle. They're the boats. And so when I do that subtraction, it looks like that's going to turn out to be 92. I've got one more thing to do. What am I told about the universe on this particular problem? How many students are in my universe? 250. So how am I going to figure out, add all three and subtract from 250. So you got a calculator. I forgot to bring mine. I have my phone, but you can help me. 92 and 75 is 167 plus the 63. That is what's 170. That's 230, I think. But check me out on that. So there's 230 students here. So that leaves 20 right there because there should be a total of 250 students in that altogether. That's the hard part to the problem. So I'm going to pause right here. Does anyone have a question about how we got one of those numbers? If you can do this, you can do what I'm going to put on the test. I have no doubt. And we're just going to practice it. All right, well, then we're going to answer the questions now. The questions, I've got 4 questions. Again, all this is about is understanding what the different regions of the Venn diagram mean, what they're telling you. So A says, how many students did not study in either the library or the cafeteria? So what number up there represents the students who didn't study in either place? The 20, yes. So that means 20 right there. Great. The next question says, how many students studied in the library but not the cafeteria? Okay, that's these 92. That's the library onlys. Okay, they have nothing to do with the cafeteria, so 92. Similarly, how many studied in the cafeteria but not the library? Okay, 63. And then last but not least, how many studied in either the library or the cafeteria? Tell me, what numbers am I going to add up to figure out how many students studied in one of the places, one of the 2 places? I'm going to do the 92. I'm going to do the 63. You're right. But the word or there, okay, library or cafeteria means one or the other. It doesn't necessarily mean only though. So we're going to put these 75 in there as well. The word or means your union. So that was, I think when we talked about the union, some of the problems back then may have mentioned that or means union and means intersection. And so the last one is, that's the 230 when I add those three numbers up. If you have a question, ask it. If not, turn to page 2. And the top example, the very top, exercise 1. It's the same sort of thing, just involves 2 sets so that you can get acclimated to doing this. After you've done your Venn diagram, answer the questions, and then we'll check out how you did. Okay, if you're still working, keep working. If you have any questions, don't be shy. There's absolutely no reason to be shy. We're going to throw these numbers in the right place. So the problem says, during the fall festival at farmers market, 200 customers made the following purchases. 109 purchased pumpkins, 98 purchased pies, 61 purchased both. Then we'll answer the questions. So according to those numbers, what am I going to put here in the middle? Okay, 61. Those are the people who purchased both. Great jobs. So far, so good. 98 purchased pies. So here's my pie circle. What number am I going to write here on the outside? Okay, and you got the 37 in case somebody did not get 37. We have 98 people who purchased pies. We already have 61 people in the pie circle. They are sitting there happy because they're eating pie. And then that's where we get the 37 from. So 37 plus 61 equals the 98 pie people. Is that pretty clear? Okay, again, if you can understand this with 2 sets, there's nothing to stop you with 3 sets, which is what we're going to do. It's the only other thing from this section. Okay, so next, 109 people purchased pumpkins. So again, here is my pumpkin circle. So I'm going to take the 109. That's what the problem says. I've already got 61 people in that circle, and that leaves me 48. Anybody get a different number that we need to talk about here? Last but not least, I add these things up. So 48 and 61 is 109 plus 37. That's 146, I think, if I'm adding right. And then I subtract that from what to get the number out here? So 200, so that leaves 54 people who didn't want either of those things or bought something else that we're not told anything about. So let's answer the questions, A, B, C. So the first one says, how many purchased only pumpkins? And I'm sure you wrote 48. I'm hoping you wrote 48. How many people purchased only pies? That's 37. And then last but not least, how many did not purchase either of these things? That's the 54. Are we doing all right so far? All right, then I'm going to flip back to the first page. I'm going to do my other example. And then I've got 2 examples for you. So the next one, example 2. Only difference in the problem is I've got 3 sets. So we just have a little bit more to keep track of, but it works in the exact same way. So in example 2, it says, we've got a travel company that surveyed 125 customers, and the following is the information they got. And so I'll just read through it real quick. 68 wanted to go to Hawaii, because why not? 53 wanted to go to Las Vegas. 47 wanted to go to Disney World. 34 wanted to go to Hawaii and Vegas. 26, Vegas and Disney. 23, Hawaii and Disney, and then 18 wanted to go everywhere, okay? They were 3D travelers, and then we'll answer the questions. Okay, so the key here is I'm going to draw my Venn diagram with 3 sets. Give you a moment to catch up with the astounding artwork that I put on the board. Again, when you take the test and you draw your Venn diagram, it's fantastic. If you put your sets up here in a different order than I do, that's fine. I'll be able to figure it out and give you the credit you deserve. But for now, while we're all doing this problem, this is what I'm going to do. Just in the order they're given, I'm going to let this circle be Hawaii. I'm going to let this circle be Las Vegas. And then the bottom circle, I'm going to let be Disney World. Okay, just so that we're all doing the same thing. So we're going to put the numbers in here. If you don't follow something, don't let me move on. Make sure you ask the question. But once again, I'm going to start with the most specific piece of information. And again, the most specific piece of information on this is what? 18. 18 did want to do all 3 things. So that means right here in the middle, where all 3 circles overlap, I'm going to put the number 18. Now notice that number 18, it's part of a whole bunch of things. It's part of these eyeballs, which remember the eyeballs are where 2 circles are overlapping. The 18 is also part of each of the circles, so we have to take that into account. Okay, so that's the thing. So don't rush through this. Make sure you do that. So I'm just going to go up the ladder. The next one above 18 says 23 wanted to go to Hawaii and Disney. Hawaii and Disney. So here is where the Hawaii, I'm just going to try to darken this first one if I can a little bit. This is where the Hawaii and Disney circles overlap. Now, it doesn't say anything like, again, I'm just repeating this because this is the common mistake and I want you to avoid it. It does not say 23 wanted to go to Hawaii and Disney, but not Vegas. If it said but not Vegas, or if it said the word only, then yeah, you would put 23 right here. But that's not what the problem says. So don't read that into the problem. All it says is 23 want to go to both Hawaii and Disney. So here's my eyeball. What do you think I'm going to put right here then? 5. Because I've already got 18 people that want to go to Hawaii and Disney. It just so happens they also want to go to Las Vegas, but that's not mentioned in this line. So 18 and 5 gives me 23. Are you tracking with me why that's 5? If you can track that, then you're right on schedule. Okay, perfect. So the next one, 26 want to go to Vegas and Disney. So here's the Vegas and Disney eyeball. So what am I going to put on this part right here? Exactly right, 8, because 18 and 8 adds up to the 26 people that are supposed to be in that one. And then continuing up the ladder, 34 want to go to Hawaii and Vegas. So here's the Hawaii and Vegas overlap right here on this one. So how many people need to go in the top part? 16. So 30, again, using your calculator. Okay, if you're not great at arithmetic, I totally understand, no big deal. Just use your calculator. 34 minus 18 leaves you 16. That's how we're getting these numbers. 47 wanted to go to Disney World. So in the Disney circle, there should be 47 people. Right now, I've got 8 and 18, that's 26. Plus 5, I've got 31 people in the Disney circle. And I need to have a total of 47. So when I subtract that, that leaves 16 right here. And so you can always double check. All four of these numbers, 16 and 8 is 24, and 18 is 42, and 5 is 47. There should be 47 people in this circle that I'm covering up with my hand, the distance circle. 53 people want to go to Las Vegas, so I've got 16 and 8, that's 34, plus 8, that's 42. And 53 people want to go to Las Vegas, so that leaves me 11. So again, just double check. It can't hurt to be super safe when you're taking the test. 11 and 16 is 27, plus 18 is 45, plus 8 more is 53. Got it. In my Las Vegas circle, there should be 53. 68 want to go to Hawaii. So again, 34 and 5 is 39. So that leaves 29 people on the outside of the Hawaii circle. So 29 and 16 is 45, and 18 is 63, and 5 is 68. I've got my 68 people in the Hawaii circle. Last but not least, this is where your calculator is going to be handy. We've got 125 people in our universe altogether. So I need to figure out how many people have I accounted for, and then subtract that from 125. So when I add up all of these numbers right here, 29 and 16 and 11 and 5 and 18 and 8 and 16, how much does that add up to? 103, did I hear you right? Okay, so 125 minus the 103 is 22. So there's 22 people that have other plans or no plans or whatever else. We don't know anything about them according to this survey. So now we'll answer the questions, and then we'll be done with the problem. The first question says, how many did not wish to travel to any of these places? And that is what number? 22. Great. You know exactly where to look. That makes me happy. How many people wish to only go to Hawaii? So the next couple questions, let's make sure we understand the difference. First off, it says in C, how many wish to travel to Disney and Las Vegas, but not Hawaii? So first off, forget the but not Hawaii for a second. Disney and Las Vegas means what? Is that the intersection or is that the union? Okay, intersection. And means intersection, both of those things. So Disney World in Las Vegas is right here. This eyeball right here. How many of those people did not want to go to Hawaii though? 8. The 18 is the ones that want to go to all 3. So the but not Hawaii are these people right here, the 8. Oh yes, perfect. Then that's a great another way to say it. So yeah, that when we subtract the 18, that leaves us the 8. Beautiful. The next one says something that's very similar, just a couple letters different. It says, how many people wish to travel to Disney or Las Vegas, but not Hawaii? Okay, so or means union. We're considering everything in both circles. So Disney World or Las Vegas, but not Hawaii. Tell me, what numbers am I going to add up that represent Disney World or Las Vegas, but not Hawaii? The 16, the 8, and the 11. Notice, these 3 that I've circled in red, they are in the Disney and Vegas circle, which I'm covering up with my hand. But then we are getting rid of, we're subtracting the Hawaii people. So that's these 3 numbers. And that's why we end up with, what's that? 35? Thank you very much. Appreciate the help there. And last but not least, the final problem says, how many wish to travel to exactly one place? What numbers represent the exactly ones? It doesn't say what place, right? It just says how many have in mind the dream of only going to one place. So how many, let's add this up. How many people only want to go to Hawaii? Okay. Just going to put a box around it. How many people only want to go to Las Vegas? How many people only want to go to Disney World? So those green boxes are the people that want to go to exactly one place. And so when I add those up, 29 and 11 is 40, plus 16 is 56. Now, we weren't asked this, but you're going to be asked this on one of your problems. So just real quick, make sure that I've covered it. What if instead of exactly one, I said, how many people want to go to exactly two places? What numbers, I'm just going to circle them in purple, what numbers represent the exactly twos? These people right here, exactly two, they want to go to Hawaii and Disney World. These people, exactly two, they want to go to Hawaii and Las Vegas. And these people, exactly two, Vegas and Disney World. So you just have to just navigate what the different problems are asking. All right, so flip back to page 2. We've got 2 quick examples. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do exercise 2. Same sort of thing. Fill in the Venn diagram and answer the questions. All right, I'm gonna get started on this. Still working, that's fine. Just keep going. And if you have any questions about where my numbers came from, then be sure to ask them. Don't let me move on if you're feeling any sort of confusion or uncertainty. So exercise 2 says we've got 85 customers, and we have surveyed them on what kind of books they like to, or what they've purchased. So there's the results. And so I'm going to start with the most specific bit of information. It says down at the bottom, 2 purchased all 3 types of books. So we've got mysteries, science fiction, and romance. If you have your circles in different order, you're going to have the same exact numbers, but they're just going to have a different placement. Okay, so as you follow along. So 2 liked all 3 types. So I'm going to put a 2 right there in the middle, and we are off. 11 people purchased mystery and romance. So here's the mystery and romance where those circles overlap. I need to have 11 people in this circle, so that leaves me 9. 11 minus the 2 that are already in there leaves me 9. Are we doing okay so far? 5 purchased science fiction and romance. So here's the science fiction and romance overlap. There should be 5 people in that circle. So since there's already 2 there, that leaves me room for 3. 13 purchased mysteries and science fiction. So here's that overlap. There should be 13 people in this football looking thing. So 13 minus 2 is 11. 29 purchased romance. So romance circle should have 29 people in it total. So I've got 9, 11, 14. So 14 taken out of the 29 leaves me 15 for right there. 33 purchased science fiction. So I've already got 11, 13, 16. I've already got 16 people in the science fiction circle. So 16 subtracted from the 33 leaves 17. Am I doing all right? Did I make any mistakes? Anybody got a question? This is definitely the hardest problem. So if you can do this, then you're sitting pretty. Okay, I'm going to put 1 or 2 of these on the test that you're going to take. Then you can answer the questions, and hopefully you're going to leave here rejoicing and happy on Thursday. 44 people purchased mysteries, so I've got 22, so that leaves me 22 right there. And then finally, last but not least, we surveyed 85 people. How many people, if you want to save me a minute of time here, there's 79 altogether. Do you have agreement on that? Everybody agree with me? All right, 79 sounds great. So that leaves 6 for out here. Perfect. Outstanding. The questions. Which number represents the people who only liked mysteries? Mysteries and science fiction, but not romance. What's the number for mysteries and science fiction, but not romance? That's this 11 right here. Mysteries and science fiction are overlapping right here. We want to be outside of the romance circle, so that means these 11 right here. The word and means both. C, mysteries or science fiction. There is no other caveat on that problem. So let's circle the numbers. What numbers are in the mysteries or science fiction circle? 22, 11, yep. All those numbers that I just circled in blue, they are in the mysteries or science fiction. Okay, it did not say but not anything. So I'm going to add up all of those. And when I do that, whoops, that's 20, 42, 44, 61, 64. Thank you very much. Problem D says mysteries or science fiction, but not romance. So which numbers am I leaving out for the but not romance? Yeah, I don't want these ones. Cover them up. So that means 22 and 11 and 17 is 33, 450. And then finally, the last one says, how many people like exactly 2? So I'm going to circle in red, or I'm going to put a triangle around them or something in red. Which ones are the exactly 2s? Okay, 11, 9, and 3. Those are the exactly 2s. And so that is 23. Just because we have plenty of time, we're going to do one more. So this is our last problem as far as the new stuff for the day. And when we're done with this, we'll take some questions. We'll figure out everything we need to, so that you're ready for Thursday. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Exercise 3, same sort of thing, just bigger numbers this time. Right, so on this problem, I gave you slightly different bit of information just to make sure that we're all still awake and paying attention. So you'll notice on exercise 3, instead of in the problem telling you how many people were surveyed, at the bottom, I gave you another specific piece of information. At the bottom, I said 26 owned none of these. So hopefully you caught on and you notice that, oh, okay, 26 is none. So 26 is out here in the universe. That's how many people are left over. And you'll notice if you've already seen them, the questions, the first question is then, how many people were surveyed? So it's just kind of a little bit of a reverse process here. But examine my numbers with yours. This is my iPad circle, my laptop circle, my gaming circle. Remember, if you have your circles in a different order, our numbers will be the same, but they might be in different regions. They will be in different regions. Does anyone have a different number here that we need to talk about? Did I subtract wrong? Did I do something? Or did you not understand something? Well, I'm trusting that you're telling me the truth because there's no reason not to. We're not in a hurry. It's the last problem. So if you've got anything, let me know. So the first problem says how many students were surveyed. What did you get when you added up all 8 numbers right there? 496. Sounds great. That's true. That's what I got. So glad we got agreement there. The next one says how many owned an iPad and a gaming system, but not a laptop. So what numbers represent the iPad and the gaming system, but not the laptop? Yeah, just the 132. That's the and. That's where they overlap. And that's the number that's not in the laptop circle. So 132. The next problem says how many owned a laptop, but not anything else? So what number is the laptop, but not anything else? That is indeed true. Thank you very much. 29. D, how many owned exactly 2? So I'm going to circle in green. What are the numbers that of the exactly 2s? That is great. These 3 numbers right here in the little bits of the intersections. So when I add those up, how many is that total? 3 what? 328 is what I heard. Hoping that's what you said. And then last but not least, how many owned at least 2? So what does at least 2 mean when we use those words? 2 or more. Yeah, we're going to put the middle in. You're exactly right. So we've already got the exactly 2s. And so that just means in addition to the exactly 2s, I'm going to add the 68 as well. So when I add 68 to that, 396. Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, before I shut off the recording, anything that I did not adequately cover?